Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to new standards of excellence.
Yes.
Say yes to engaging reportage with a difference.
Yes.
Introducing Yes International Magazine.
You rose to become later Ojukwu PA. How did it happen? How did he become his PA?
Oh well, by the grace of God, it was through one, I would say, my activity in the unique University of Port Harcourt. We had happened by chance. Late Ojukwu remains my hero any day, anytime. You know, may so rest in peace. Growing up as a young man, I read a lot about him, and I never knew that one day I would be able to have the opportunity of serving or working for him. But our knowing him or getting to know him, and to the extent of working with him, was something that just happened. And of course, I am very happy to have served him in that capacity as his former personal assistant and public relations. And a lot of people don't know the difference between personal assistant and special assistant. Personal assistant is far much higher than your special assistant, because your personal assistant is someone that knows you, gives you water to drink, is someone that can go errands for you, send you a message that you can trust. And if he can trust me and one of my colleagues to make us personal assistant, that means we have loads and loads of so much information which he has passed on to us and which we know and have. But I believe in our next discussion, we will have the opportunity to also say so much that was not said here. But I would like to say he had visited University of Port Harcourt as a guest speaker, and I was the person that mimicked him. I mimicked him, and I took part of his word speeches, and I did that with clear-cut mannerisms. His mannerisms, of course, and he was fascinated and invited me to come to Velasca Lodge to see him. That was how our relationship started, and I also remember that when he launched his books, because I'm involved, I was the only Nigerian artist that performed at the National Theatre. I'm probably sure a lot of people watching were not born yet, or they were in secondary school. When I performed,
what about it?
I performed again for him when he was launching, because I'm involved, and of course his wonderful and pretty wife Bianca Ojukwu also was there physically. The likes of late Okadibo, the likes of Power Mike, our own of blessed memory, and so many other great names were there at the National Theatre. But I had performed for him, and he loved my performance. I mimicked him, and Ojukwu, for the first time, that he laughed. He could not control it, because there he was seen in me. I was called, he is known as Ikemba Newi. I am known as Ikemba Uniport. So till the time he died, we had that, there was that relationship. And of course he sent for me when he wanted to sojourn. When he was invited to represent Anambra State, his constituency at the Constitutional Conference of 1994. He sent for me, and that was how I became his personal assistant. Other things I did for him, working and serving him, is another story for another day.
All right. Now, what would you say was the greatest lesson that you learned as his personal assistant?
What was my greatest lesson?
Yes, the greatest lesson that you learned from him.
You see, you cannot remove it from Ikemba. You have a very misunderstood man, but who loved Nigeria. Yes, you heard me right. Ojukwu loved Nigeria so much. And such an intelligent and brilliant man that so many other people also misunderstood, because he was a man that believed in justice, equity, fair play. And that is the major problem we have in Nigeria. Some of the things he had said several years back, people are beginning now to see, they are beginning to realize. A lot of people might have things against the fact that we lost so many souls during the Nigerian Biafran War, where we lost over 3 to 5 million Igbos. There were other Nigerians as well who lost their lives regrettably. A lot of people have blamed him for that. They call it a senseless war. I beg to differ. It was not, because it was just the fact. The reason was the fact that certain persons did not adhere to an agreement. You heard of the Abri. People call it Aburi Accord, but it's Abri. Abri is in Ghana. It's a place. I have been to Abri myself in Ghana in course of my research to find out some of the things that happened within that period. That was where they met to discuss certain things that will have averted the war. You know, there are claims and counterclaims. There are authors who have written their own books. Respected former President Olusegun Obasanjo has written his own. Mailani has written his own. We've had other Igbo, retired Igbo colonels who wrote their own about their own, why they had to strike. I'm sure you read about why we struck. Some people blame the war. They blame the war on Aguiyi and support. And of course, Gowon, respected former President Gowon, also has his own different kind of story. Of course, whether we liked it or not, I felt that it would have been averted if the people who respected elder statesmen who were supposed to do the right thing did it. Would have averted the war. But what were the lessons learned? Having said that, after the war, nothing has been learned, because those things, those indicators that had made Nigeria to be in this state of agitations, there have been agitations and upon agitations. We need to revisit it. And I too know that dialogue is very, very, very key and critical in every country, in every war situation. We shouldn't let it to go to that extent. We must also sit around, sit around the round table, tell ourselves the truth, agree to disagree. We have different nationalities that make up Nigeria. We must look at our constitution. Whether we like it or not, we have a problem in that constitution. And unless we go back to that constitution and do the needful, there have been so many constitutional conferences and a lot of things have been said, a lot of suggestions have been made, but governments have not been able to actually say, they have not been able to take the bull by the horn to say, yes, let us discuss genuinely. But we need to do that before it is late.
Interesting. What kind of person was Ojukwu? I mean, having interacted very closely with him.
Ojukwu is a loving man. You cannot take that away from him. He loves human beings. He loved human beings, and that's so simple. He loved his people. He loved also injustices. He hated injustices at all levels, and he wanted his people to be free. He was one that loved the ingenuity of his people, and I'm sure probably you heard in his interviews also after his pardon by the federal government led by late respected Alhaji Shehu Shagari. He said, how old were they then? They were young people. They were in their late 20s and early 30s. And that if you had opportunity, the decisions then, as young people who are hot-headed, all of them, it will have been different. But we also had elder statesmen who we expected, like the Awolowos of this world and Nnamdi Azikiwes of this world, bless their soul, and so many other nationalities who should have brought that into, foreclose that situation. But there's no need kind over bereaved milk. What we should know, we should do, are to look at those things that have continuously divided us as a nation. Ojukwu stands out. I'm sure you know his educational background, and that tells you all. His father was among the first 3 billionaires we had in Nigeria, not to talk of Africa. And he lived his life in Oxford. He went to school in Oxford. His father wanted him to read, to become a medical. He wanted him to become a medical doctor. I wanted him to become a lawyer, but he chose to read history, and his father wasn't happy about it. And a lot of you don't know too. There are other things that I know better than every other person, including even some people.
Especially
I would like to,
because we understand that it was during that constitutional conference that whirlwind romance started. You know, so you should know a lot about that.
about where with what?
His whirlwind romance with the ever delectable Bianca Ojukwu.
Well, I would say I was privileged having worked for him. I was working with him when, of course, we were the ones that planned the wedding, his wedding to his lovely wife,
Bianca.